What's up, guys? You are on the air and off the books with Beth Ann and Samantha, and today we have a special guest with us. Drum roll. And it is Caele.
Hello. Good morning. Or, good whatever time you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Good 2 p.m.
Yeah.
2 p.m.?
Yeah.
Or good whenever, wherever, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Maybe you're listening to this at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, because you are that dedicated to our podcast. You wake up at 1 a.m. and you're like, BNS.
Or you just stay up till 1 a.m. to listen to the B&S.
That's true. So, okay, guys, we have all collectively read a book. It is called Hunted. It is by Darcy Coates. And before Caele and Beth Ann lead you astray, I want to tell you that this book was a 4.4 out of 5, and it was the second best read of the year.
Okay.
I think we all have very different opinions about this book.
We do. So
I'm here for the hype. I'm going to hype this book up. I'm going to throw it at everybody. I'm going to
throw it at everyone. Just
I'm
remember
going
she's
to
assaulting
put
you
holds
currently.
on it for the whole library.
Just everyone.
The whole staff. Yeah.
So if you don't know, Darcy Coates is the author of Where He Can't Find You, and we recently, or, semi-recently, how you start a story and say the other day when you mean a year ago?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it's been within a year.
And we loved that book, so we were like, you know what? Let's read another Darcy Coates book and see what we think about it. And here we are. And
So I will jump in here. You guys recommended Where He Can't Find You. You recommended this to me so long ago.
Yeah.
And I checked it out. And I have this terrible, terrible habit. And this is our secret. No, we're not sharing.
Don't tell
Yeah.
anyone.
Don't
tell.
I keep library books way longer than I'm supposed to. So I kept this book for months, even though I should. Well, I kept it for too long.
She's incriminating herself on the podcast, which is fine because we do it every single.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Just don't tell Doug. Okay?
Yeah,
Just
don't tell Doug. Yeah.
He never needs to know.
No.
So I finally read it, and I won't lie, I didn't expect to like it just because it didn't seem like a book that I was going to be interested in, but I loved it.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was really good.
Oh, man. It was just such a good mashup, and it was such a good, and it's a teen choice, but it didn't feel too teen.
No.
And I can, we want to rant and rave about that book because it just did everything that you needed it to do. And yeah, it could always be this or that or blah, blah, blah. But for what it was just so perfect of a story. It was suspenseful, and it had you on the edge of your seat, and it was scary, and, and people who really like I always recommend, if you really like it gives those vibes.
Yeah, it really does. It's got the teens against
Group.
the monster, and
Right.
the action just started from page 1, and I felt like the whole book was just a long climax. Like, the action never really let up. It was so intense the whole way through, and I've never read a book like that. Like,
Yeah.
Kept driving.
Yeah.
Until we got to Hunted.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. And I'm not throwing shade at, she's a great writer, and a lot of, we picked this, okay, let's figure this out.
Let's begin by saying what it was about.
Well, we picked this book because of the description of the book, and because on Goodreads, this gets a very high rating, and we all know that Goodreads can be savage about their rating.
Goodreads is very savage.
So we narrowed it down, and she's written a lot of books, surprisingly, which I didn't know.
I didn't realize she's written so many books either.
And so we picked Hunted, and it's on the cover of it. It's got the red threads and stuff like that, too. So we were kind of curious to see how that would kind of tie in. Some covers have a camera under the title, like Lost in the Woods situation.
Yeah.
So, do we want to read this synopsis and kind of...
Sure.
Yeah.
5 days after Eileen Hirschberger went missing on a hike through the remote Ashlow Forest, her camera was discovered washed downriver, containing bizarre photos taken hours after her disappearance. But with no body and no additional clues, finding Eileen in the dark and winding woods seemed next to impossible. Chris wants to believe his sister is alive and well. When the police search is abandoned, he and 4 of his friends vow to scour the mountain range until they find Eileen and bring her home. But as the small group strays farther into the trails and the unsettling discoveries mount, they begin to realize they're not alone, and Eileen's disappearance was no accident.
You should come in and read all of our synopsis all the time.
Just insert.
Because I'm like, go back, reread that word.
Yeah.
So, you see where we're going with this. Like, it's giving monster in the forest, eats all these kids, one person makes that alive vibes. Right?
Yes.
Right.
And at one point, one of the characters even uses the word cryptid because
Yeah.
they were kind of thinking, is this a cryptid? Is this...
Yeah.
And I thought, from the beginning, I didn't really truly believe it was an actual monster or cryptid.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I think it was really setting us up to think that.
Okay, I did. I just want to preface that by going into this thinking it was a monster mash, okay?
Beth Ann is like, if it says monster, I will believe it until it says otherwise.
I'm so gullible and trustworthy when it comes to this. You know, we're going to spoil this book, so back out now if you want to try this for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that right this second. Stop the podcast and come back to us. I think it was a fast read. I finished it first, which that should tell you something if you've been listening long enough, because usually I don't finish it. But I gave this a 2. Samantha gave this a 4.5, and
4.4.
you gave this a...
I would give this a 3. Like, I feel like it was fine. It wasn't
It's pretty
bad,
good.
but
Yeah,
it
it
wasn't
was.
amazing.
Okay, I didn't expect that.
Okay, so
Okay.
I think that my rating was so high because I watched this movie
That's gotta be it.
about a couple months ago.
It's gotta be all part.
I forget what the movie was called, but it was about these people or these girls that kept going missing. And turns out it's this guy that's in a ghillie suit. If you don't know what a ghillie suit is, it's like, it looks like a tree bush situation,
You,
like suit that you put on
this
to like
thing on and
hunt.
blend into the woods
Yeah.
situation. Camouflage.
Yes, so he puts on a ghillie suit and he goes and like hunts these people in the woods. And I loved the movie, like loved it. And this reminded me 100% of this book. And I don't know why I loved it so much. I loved the whole concept of the book. I'm glad it wasn't a monster.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm also glad it wasn't a monster because it just felt like that was too easy for it
Yeah.
to really truly be a monster. Plus, and like you said, we're spoiling things, but as soon as I thought it was the police chief,
Yeah.
then I was like, well, duh, it's
Yeah.
Okay, so they like figured it out like from the jump who the like person was that was doing all of these things, like causing. So essentially what was happening for like decades, I guess, is that this man was going in, getting in a suit and not killing people directly, but forcing people into these
Yeah.
weird survival
He
situations
never murdered anyone.
to watch them die.
Mhm.
And so I think this is my issue, is that you are selling me and trying to tell me that this is going to be kind of like a monster thing. It's giving monster. Okay, it's trying, and I understand that that's the twist, right? But like, you're setting my expectations up. Like, and I feel like my other problems with it were you guys didn't think that the characters were so contrived and so
Yes.
one
I
note
did think
and
that, yeah.
so underdeveloped. There's no growth.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Can we? Okay. Yes. Todd from the get go. I was like,
Todd.
Oh, Todd. We
I
can agree on
can't-
Todd.
Like,
We agree there.
If he was gonna be the hero, I was gonna be so mad.
Dude.
And I
wouldn't
love
even rated
that
the book if he had been the
homeboy
hero.
just like showed up dead. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't really
just
know he
popped
died,
up.
but he is dead. He's like rotting on the forest floor, and you're just like, yes.
I know, like we shouldn't be celebrating, but I am because he's the worst. And he was
was
so
a stalker.
He
stupid.
was a stalker.
Yeah.
I mean, from the immediate, you're in his head, and he's like,
obsessed.
you're opening with this character, and you're thinking, this has got to be the creepy, weird guy. And
It's
he's
giving
like looking
Ted
at,
Bundy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
getting on Facebook and looking at all her things, and like, I know her because of her smile, and I've looked at her pictures enough to know
Yeah.
her demeanor and her tone and all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
And none of his friend group want to accept or recognize that this is not acceptable behavior.
Right.
But I also think he was delusional because he thought he was in on this friend group. He thought that he was Chris's best friend and really nobody else.
Well, Chris says that he is.
Well, can we talk about Chris too? Because obviously
Chris.
Todd is the worst, but Chris is
also kind of the worst.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was so passive.
Yes. And he very clearly puts his friends in extreme danger.
Yes.
Knowing that he's doing this, he just continues to push them on.
Yeah.
Even to the point of this is very reckless. Everyone in my little group could get in trouble. They could get hurt. They could die. And he just continues to push them on.
And he pushes them to physically and mentally breaking.
Yeah.
Probably unpopular opinion, but I really liked Caele. I feel for her. I feel for that girl because it's like, okay, she was like the stereotypical like, oh, I'm pretty and I'm
Rich.
blonde, rich, so I'm dumb.
But that's what gets me, is that she's being sold as dumb. But the only way that the author develops her as a character is just by verbally making other characters say she's smarter than she looks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't ever really, to me, prove
Right.
that she is. None of her actions, none of that. I mean, like, her ingenuity in the forest with the compass and the map and stuff like that. I get that, but but this is my thing. You had those compasses the whole time.
I know. I was like, why
aren't you using them? You had the maps the whole time. When what's his face passes out at the tree, her boyfriend, Haley's boyfriend, what's his name?
Flint.
Yes.
When he passes out, the dumb jock, okay, passes out of the tree, and then Haley and Todd go off to get water, and he's laying there with what's-her-name, because her throat is cut, which came out of nowhere. There's no other allusion to any other traps, which would have made it much better for me.
That was a little bit random.
I kind of wondered if that trap was set by someone else who'd been killed in the forest, like they were trying to...
That's what I wonder.
But that's such a, audience jump.
Yeah, and there really was no more explanation, or,
Because he said he didn't want to kill anybody.
Yeah.
So why would
there be a trap?
Right.
But it was set up that the string was moved to cause that, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, in that way, if he intentionally moved the string and, to make it fall on Anna,
maybe
you're killing her, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe his whole thing was to see if they would pay attention and realize.
But he literally tells the detective, I don't actually kill anybody, you have no proof. But they do because of the slash marks in her neck and that. They could have gotten him.
Yeah.
And she shoots him, and they had proof right there.
Yeah, I was like,
with
whoa.
The thing. They could have had his fingerprints on it, no problem. On her neck, everything. Registered to him, I bet. There's no reason why the detective should have taken any of that into her own hands. It abruptly ended.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm going to shoot him, walk away, and it's done. And then I'm going to have this random off-screen conversation with Haley about it. Yeah. Hush, hush. When Haley isn't even the person that was leading the whole shebang, it was Todd. He's the mastermind behind everything and the whole trip in the first place.
Oh, no, Chris.
God, Todd.
Todd is dead.
Let's not give Todd any more credit.
No. and then they just silently walk away, and that's that, and this is this, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I just feel like everybody would have proved that wasn't a suicide. There's no way that couldn't have been proved.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking about, if he shot himself in the head and he was standing, clearly he was standing because, then you're going to see, the blast on the wall or whatever. When he falls, he's not going to still be, clutching the gun, but she, carefully put his hand around it.
Yeah.
Don't you think it would, clatter to the floor?
It would.
Yeah.
Because he would go limp. It would just whoosh. And she's just like, well, and if it comes to that and I have to take the fall for this, then fine, but I'm going to stop him. And, and they dropped all the stuff about her backstory and her husband, which I understand. I feel for her backstory because it was such a tragic backstory, but I feel like it was very unnecessary. Yeah. It was a bunch of information that didn't make me love her anymore as a character. It didn't affect me. If she was just a random detective, it would have made a lot more sense because we're invested in a person and get no clarification. We get no wrap-up. We get nothing.
Also, they have all those trail cams, and, you couldn't have pulled the trail cams and, looked at the footage.
Seen that he was the culprit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
maybe she just
Haley
knew she wasn't going to get out.
To the place in the woods with his fingerprints all over it, but she decides to kill him instead of gathering all that information. She could have just walked right out into the woods, got everything that she needed, and then it would have convicted him completely.
There's going to be a sequel.
She decides to be Batman, and you know what I mean, and do this vigilante crap, and I just feel like I hate it.
Yeah.
And it's no offense, it just wasn't well written. There are so many different typos, and in one paragraph...
Yes, there were typos and grammatical errors, which, like, that honestly comes down to the editor. Like, you know.
Correct, yeah.
And I think in this day and age, we see a lot of books come out that are really rushed, and editing is not it's not a priority, and it should be coming from a copy editor.
Well, when you spell Haley's name in one sentence, in the very next sentence you misspell one of the main characters' names in the next sentence, side by side, and they're so close together that you can take a picture and you can see that they spelled them wrong both times.
Oh my gosh.
That, you know, maybe you should continue passively editing books, especially if they're getting such raving reviews. And maybe it's just because I'm being hypercritical and a jerk. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like that's not really, like, I could look past all that. I really could. And it could still be a great read. Because I read a lot of, like, self-published things as well, and people have a hard time getting access to good editors and stuff.
It's expensive.
It is. But I just feel like the characters, the setup of the situation, the ending, like, if they had offered it up to me as a cat and mouse situation where they're going through the forest, and there were, like you said, the traps, and maybe it was a weird family, like, what is it, The Hills Have Eyes or something like that situation. I think I would have really loved it. It played into that. If he had been like a inherited serial killer situation or something. Yeah. But he sets up this guy kills himself for no reason. We don't get any explanation.
Right, yeah. So I really wanted it, like, a little bit more. You didn't have to necessarily hold our hands through the whole explanation there, but why did he kill himself?
Yeah, that man, when she walked into the room, because he pinned it on an older man in the woods, and when she walks into the room to try to arrest this man who they think is doing this to people, he just kills himself.
Yeah. And we never really find out why.
No. And I want to know the dirt, man.
I think that the detective probably just had so much, like, stuff on him, and he was, like, the chief or whatever, that he knew he was going to go down no matter what.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think it was such a jump for the reader to make on their own. And, you know, I feel like strategically placing in those things for speculation is a good tool to use, but you can't make big, giant leaps like that. And, okay, also Haley survived?
Yeah.
Oh, Eileen survived.
Yeah.
Eileen survived.
Oh, yeah.
Haley also survived. But Eileen survived, and, how?
I know. I really wanted more information on that as well. Like, they just say, she had access to food and water, but, like,
moves a bush.
Yeah.
And there she is. And I'm like, what?
It's Eileen!
Eileen, what are you doing here, girl? Girl. Like, hey.
Here's the water.
I know, like, my thing is like, and then she's normal after. She's walking around.
Yeah.
The psychological trauma of being alone in the forest by yourself, laying in a ditch for 10 days.
Yeah, well, and also at the very end, like, not only is Eileen, like, relatively back to normal, but Chris is like, yeah, my friends and I, like, we're gonna go get a drink. You know, I'm so grateful for my friends. And I'm like, I would not be his
I'd be
friend
like, bye.
I would dump you in a ditch
Yeah.
and drive off.
I would never talk to you again, and I would harbor a lifelong resentment against you for all the things that you pushed us to do.
Especially because my favorite character is killed off. Like, she was the only one that I enjoyed. She was the only one that was as fleshed out as I, you know.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay, another detail that doesn't make any sense. They spend $200 on a first aid kit, but then they all buy new pairs of shoes, and somehow they spend a total of $500. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Because listen to me, when I tell you we go shoe shopping for Hayden for school and buy her nice shoes, and the price of children's shoes, and you're buying nice hiking shoes.
Yes.
You're spending $200 a pair at least.
Yes.
A pair.
Yeah, that was funny.
Trust me on that. Trust me. And his blue turquoise shoes that she insists on pointing out twice in the book. Those babies were probably $300.
Yes.
Like, you've got to be kidding me. And nobody looks at a compass. Nobody, like, she packs them so well. And you're telling me that she tells you all of this. You watch this woman pack these bags for you, and you just now remember that there's a compass in your bag? Dude, I would have had that thing out the whole time.
The whole time, yeah.
I would have marked it on the map as we were going instead of the thread. The
Yeah.
thread. Why?
Well, yeah, okay, Darcy, if you're listening, first off, I'm sorry. You shouldn't listen to this, probably.
Yeah, don't listen to this episode,
Yeah.
Darcy. Just
I know it's too late, but...
It is too late.
Just know that I gave you a 4.4.
Yeah, Samantha's on your side with this one. I'm sorry, this is not for me.
But I do want to know, what's the deal with the red thread? Like, is there something that Darcy, like, experienced with red thread? Like, now
Yeah.
we've got
Second
two
book.
books where that's, like, a really important part of the book.
I guess my thing is that when she does it, forest animals, like a squirrel could karate chop a red thread and then you're going to be lost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like a bird can go down. Crows and like all these other birds love fiddly bits.
Yeah.
All they have to do is go and pull on that and then it's just done. You'd think that, or the winds.
Maybe it was like a thick boy.
a gusty breeze.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were walking around in this forest for 4 days or something like that.
Yeah, 4 days.
You brought enough string.
I know!
You brought that much. All I can see is a
Yeah.
backpack full of
Like a
of
tub.
yarn.
I know,
Yeah.
because, like, Anna has a point of saying, like, we're going to be in here for, like, a day, and then we're going to turn back. Yeah, I wanted
And they're
the
for
same
like
thing.
4 days. Okay, so I crochet and you get 370 yards out of a pretty good sized skein of yarn. That's it. 370 yards. Okay, I don't know. Do your own math because I'm not doing it for
someone
you.
do the math, yeah.
Because and she's saying that she's only gone through maybe 4 rolls of this.
But they've been hiking for 4 days.
4 whole days, and they're miles
Stretchy.
and miles and miles, and they're wrapping it around trees. Like they're not just, they're literally going around a tree and wrapping it.
Yeah.
They're saying, and they're doing all this stuff. And also, my thing is how is this guy that quiet in this suit that he's coming up behind them, moving this thread as they're going? Okay. And he's that dude, you're a freaking ninja. Okay?
Yeah.
Like you have like ninja skills. I'm not even kidding. Like he's the knight. Like
My favorite part was when, like, Haley was like, I'm gonna go run back. It's only gonna be 10 hours. Girl, I'd be dead.
she said 10 hours of straight running.
I'd
Tell
be-
me, Kaylee.
3 minutes,
I
I'd be
will
done.
say this. Let me say this. My friend Shelton and I, he's doing this workout where he, like, it's tracking his steps and he's on this journey to Mordor. So we did the math and we wanted to know how long it would take if we ran to Mordor, from, like, the Shire. And I said, I genuinely think I could, if I had to, run 10 hours in a day, but I wouldn't be able to keep that up indefinitely, and it would be a very slow 10 hours, like, I wouldn't be making,
You're not
a huge-
sprinting is what
You're
you're
not
saying.
sprinting.
Okay.
And you'd have to take breaks, you'd have to rest. But there was a part where Haley was like, oh, I'm going to have to stop soon to drink water. When I'm, like, running, like, a half marathon or something, you just drink it while you're running. And if she's a runner,
Yeah.
like, she wouldn't have to stop to do that. But then again, you've been walking for 4 days.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to stop eventually anyway. But I do think the 10-hour thing is, quote-unquote, doable. Maybe not in this situation because they've been pushed to the absolute limit.
And also she's leaping over, she's telling us in the book that she's sprinting.
Yeah.
And I don't run, obviously, if you look at me.
Same.
I'm not a runner. But sprinting and jogging are 2 different things.
Yes.
And I just feel like even people who are running and doing a fluid motion and are thinking about their steps, sprinting is such a wide-gated thing, and you're also vaulting over dead limbs and fallen branches. And if anybody's ever been in the woods, there are so many trees that you have to climb over.
I'd be tripping when I'm walking.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Trip,
just
fall down the hill.
can't even walk in the forest, let alone sprint
Right.
for 10 hours straight. And then also she's been dehydrated at this point already. And I'm just, there's so many stretches.
Yeah, I feel like in so many instances in this book, Darcy is like, she has this vague idea of how things could work, maybe.
Yeah.
But she maybe doesn't have the experience, and she maybe didn't dig a ton into, like, the reality of these situations.
Yeah.
So, like, the yarn, the running, all those kinds of things. Like, it's believable if you kind of suspend your sense of reality a little bit. And you're like, okay, I guess I could see that maybe being the case.
I feel like you need to go into this looking for a good time, and that's all.
Yeah.
You're reading this. You don't care about anything
be too
else.
Critical.
I just want to get from point A to point B, mindlessly go through and enjoy a moment and just read a book. I think it's, I'm obviously being very hypercritical.
Same.
That's very obvious.
I know, I'm sorry. Like, I really liked the other book, like, so much.
So did I, yeah. And
we just got to read another one.
All right.
Well, I think, but what the thing is about that other book, too, is that there is a monster element. There is a supernatural element that's unexplainable. So that covers up a lot of the other things.
Yeah.
In this, it's not supernatural at all. So it's hard to cover up all real life right.
I think I watched a girl, like, she was reviewing all of her books on TikTok, and I think almost all of her other books are monster ghost themed.
I think so too.
I think this might be the only one that's like real, like, people serial killer.
She is a very big writer in the haunting of, haunting of. This house, that house, this place, that place. She has like a long list of books that are literally starting with the haunting of.
Yeah.
She writes a lot of those things. She writes a book called From Below. It's about being underwater. I really think that maybe that might be something that I would like better because water is already an innate fear for me.
Water's scary.
So, but I want to try that book.
I think we should try Caro House.
Haunting of Caraway House?
No, it's called Caro House.
Caro House?
Carrow.
We should then. There's one of her haunting books that is very highly rated. So she does give you a variety. And like I said, she writes The Whispering Dead, which is all a supernatural series that she's written. That's her most popular series that she's written. So I think I tried reading that.
I wasn't a huge fan of The Whispering Dead.
But you're not too big
of
a
fan. It just like throws
monster.
you right into like the climax, and I'm not big on that. I want to like build up. Yeah,
I'm going to start The Whispering Dead and see, and then I'm also going to start From Below to kind of see what I think. Because, you can't like everything.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I gave it a 2.
I'm not really like a horror fan just in general. Like, I don't go out of my way most of the time to read it. So I think that's why it took me so long to read Where He Can't Find You, because it's just not my genre. So I do find generally when I read any horror novel, I'm just not overwhelmed by it. But so I think
it take a lot to scare you.
It's kind of how I am.
It does, especially in a book, because I can't see it. It's clearly not real, so it's not leaving me with like nightmares. Like I saw the movie It, and that was terrifying. Yeah. And I read the book, and I was like, okay, like it's fine. I hate that book, but it didn't scare me.
Yeah. I think books are really hard, like you said, like to make you scared. Like it's really hard for a book to do that because you're not seeing it. Like I'm a reader where like I picture things when I read, but like it's different like on a movie screen.
Yeah, that's very true. I am very easily scared. So I feel like it's really easy for me because when I read Where He Can't Find You, there were so many terrifying moments for me.
What was the one about the Charlotte dolls?
Oh my God, that book
Frozen
just
Charlotte.
made me want to vomit. I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning and I had to come into work the next day. And I was texting Samantha at like 3 o'clock in the morning on my couch in my apartment going, I can't read this anymore. I can't do this. And then she's like threatening me, I'm going to send you dolls in the mail. Ha ha ha. That's not funny, Samantha. I still am scared of that.
I will say, like, when I'm reading the book, I do not get scared. But after I'm done, if it's like a real life situation, like serial killer, like break-in, anything like that, I'm like sitting in my bed and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that
somebody's going to come into my house.
There was one book I read where, like, at the end she realized that her house was not haunted. It was her uncle who was, like, hiding, like, in the dark. So I had to get up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom. And I'm like, there's someone hiding in my house right now. And it's so dark and I can't see them. And so, like, that did terrify me. The real situation where I could actually see that happening to me, that scares me.
I'm going to have to put out a poll because a lot of people are more scared by that than the monster thing, but the monster thing scares me more than that. Yeah. Because at least, like, if you're coming into my house and you want to, like, fight, like, let's fight.
Yeah.
Like, to me. But, like, if it's a monster, I'm sorry.
Not prepared.
No, we're not doing this today. Like, you're not going to come in here with your weird arms and your crazy limbs and your long fingers and all your teeth. I am grabbing my child and we're running away and we're never coming back.
Yes.
It's not going to be a horror situation, a haunted house situation. I'm not the first to die because I am going to run
Yeah.
in the other direction.
Oh my gosh.
Haunting movies crack me up because they're always like, we are never leaving this house.
Right.
Yeah, we got to go downstairs.
Girl,
no, dude, there's a window right there.
First thing I see, I'd be like, goodbye.
Like, okay, well, peace out, Cub Scouts. Like,
Yeah.
this is not the day for me.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't sell this home. We can't afford to sell it. Girl, you just bought
do you
it.
mean
You're not
you
going to
can't
lose
afford to
out.
sell
Just
it?
sell it.
You get money when I'm confused.
I'm confused. Like, you can literally sell it and probably get most of your money back.
I think I'd rather be in a tent on the side of the road
Exactly, yes.
than ever.
Like,
Yeah.
even if you do survive at the end, if your whole family survives, you're all super traumatized.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, if you've got kids, they're going to grow up and resent you for putting them in that situation.
And
I
then you
agree.
figure out your firstborn child is possessed, and you don't know until they start like making like
Until the
little
sequel.
crackling noises. And
Stop. See, I can't do this.
Oh
like,
my
that
gosh.
terrifies me so bad. Like, I cannot do monsters. I hate it.
their heads doing like the owl thing. It turns all
Stop.
the way
Oh my god,
No.
no. Okay, that's it. Oh, so read Hunted.
And let us know.
After we all just go through the whole shebang about it, but you should definitely let us know because you might like
Yes.
it more than I do.
And if you've read any other Darcy Coates books, let us know which ones are great, which ones we should stay away from.
Yeah.
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 And
Darcy,
we're so sorry. We're,
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah.
I'm not sorry because
I'm not sorry because I gave it a 4.5 out of
Listen.
5. So ha to everybody else.
listen, Darcy, we could be best friends.
We could be best friends. Let's talk about where he can't find you. Dude, you blew it out of the park, man.
Yes.
That was brilliance right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me another of that.
So we could all be friends. It's fine.
It's
We all loved Where He Can't Find You. I loved Hunted. It kind of evens it out, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if I wrote a book, you wouldn't like it either. So we're even.
Yeah.
Trust me, you wouldn't hate it.
Well, thank you, Caele, for joining us on our
Yes,
podcast
thank
and
you.
reading
Thanks
with
for
us.
Me.
Hopefully we can have more people read with us on the podcast. I think it's a lot more fun when we have, like, guests.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Yes.
All the opinions, please.
So join us on our next episodes, and we hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.